Hello. So we are here back again with Falsy Bouncer from FreeCodeCamp. And today we're gonna remove all falsy values from an array. This is the example array, and we have other arrays here as a test. And basically what we want to do is, if some element of the array is truthy, so if it is not false, null, zero, empty string, undefined, or not a number, then we want to return those values. And the other falsy values, so everything here, should not be returned. So I'm gonna do two methods. The first method is the more junior method, so the more beginner method, but it's okay if that's how you would do it, because that's how we learn, right? We learn by trying things out and starting from scratch. Like I also did that 5 years ago, 4 years ago. So, and the second method is more advanced, but still no big of a deal. I mean, you can understand it anyway. So let us begin. I'm gonna do, since FreeCodeCamp always says, hey, you should do for loops more often and stuff like that. We're gonna do a for loop instead of a map. So let I equals 0, and then it must not get bigger than the length of the array, and we're gonna increment by 1 for every step that we go through. And then we say if the value of the current index of the array returns, so if it is something, so false, and this one will not come through here. That is how JavaScript works. JavaScript supposes this piece of code, what it does is basically it asks, does the element of the array exist? And we know, these elements exist, but to JavaScript, they do not quite exist. They are nil. They are something that does not exist because you cannot really use it. So they are going to be filtered out there. And we're going to say, we're going to prepare an array for results. So let results outside of the for loop. When I was a beginner, one of my most common mistakes is I was defining the results array inside of the for loop, so I was creating a lot of arrays, but that's very common and we learn from mistakes. So then we do results.push, and then we're gonna push our element. I mean, I keep learning all the time. There's just so much to learn. You will never stop. But that's also the beauty of development, of engineering, or of this world, that there is so much to learn, and every day there's something new, so you never get bored. If you wish to keep up, of course. So then we return the results array. Okay. And that's done, but I mean, it does a bit of pain in the eyes to some people, and I would say it is not very efficient. It's also something that takes a lot of code. Something that I want to show you that is very nice is, in JavaScript, this exclamation sign means not. So whatever the value is, the opposite. So if we have like this, then it means that, wait, I'm gonna console.log. Then we get the values that do not exist, so false, and the empty string. So it's the opposite of whatever exists. And then if you do it again, then it's not. So it means it exists, or it must exist. So it's like cancelling out a not, and thus it becomes positive. I mean, it's a bit confusing, I know, but it's a very interesting thing. Mind-blowing stuff. So anyways, I promised you to show you another way to do that. Let's just do return, and let's say here we take the array and we're gonna filter out the results, and after we filter them out, what this is gonna return is the results that were not filtered out, so the results that stayed in the array. And it's the same as map. It uses an arrow function, and we can say element, and if element is returned, okay, so if it exists, we're gonna return the elements that exist. Or we could say, because it's very cool to see that, the elements that do not exist, so that exist. But we can even shorten it more by having an implicit return. We don't need parentheses here, you just need them if you have several parameters. But we don't have them, so we don't need them. And we could shorten this even more. Const bouncer equals, we do the arrow function, and say, and for that, of course, instead of curly braces, you do parentheses. Okay. So this is how you would shorten that. I think it's the shortest it can get, but you are free to share with me if you find a way to make it shorter. So if we run the tests, it passes, and we have a very short, very nice one-liner with arrow functions, implicit returns. Implicit returns means basically you do not write the return keyword, but through putting the body of the function in parentheses instead of curly braces, it's gonna assume that we want to return something if you have an element like that. And the same here, if we have only one argument in a function, in an arrow function, then we do not have to use parentheses. So it's shortened even more. But it can be confusing if you are not used to seeing that stuff. Anyway, so this is how the filter method works. The filter method creates an array filled with all array elements that pass a test. So, for example, here, very good example, you have the ages of 4 people, and you want to check if there's someone that is under 18, do not let him buy. Let's say it's a nightclub or something. Then only the older people that are over the age of 18 are allowed to get in. So that is how it works, filter. And it has a required argument of the value of the current element. So basically the element of the array that we are iterating through at the moment. So 32, and then 33, then 16, and then 40. Okay, I'm gonna link this up in the description so that you can read up more about it. And yeah, that's it, guys. So if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thanks a lot, and see you next time.